This is going to be an interesting video, because we can go many directions when we talk about this one team. We're talking today about the New York Rangers, because when it comes to their situation with certain top players and top prospects that should have become top players, especially in their series against the Florida Panthers, you have almost the tale of two sides being shared here. Because unfortunately, the Rangers ended up losing game number 4 to the Florida Panthers in overtime. You can talk about the game-winning goal, you can talk about Zibanejad, you can talk about Trouba pinching in, you can talk about all of the things that have made this Rangers team click. You can talk about the luck as well. That's something that I don't think we've talked too much about, but yeah, no, the Rangers have been kind of outplayed for the majority of the past few games here, but they still ended up winning in game number 3. They've had themselves good results despite not really playing all too well. Igor Shesterkin is standing on his head, and he is doing everything in his power to keep the Rangers in it. But it's not even just Igor. There are still other guys on this Rangers team that are doing things and they're making things work, like Alexis Lafreniere, for example. He has been fantastic. First overall pick in 2020, finally living up to the hype. He has been arguably the most dangerous Rangers forward this entire series. He's playing with a bunch of confidence, and when he's confident, man, he goes out there and does some fantastic things with the puck. Please, Alexis Lafreniere, never get unconfident again. You are too talented to do that. But when you talk about these young dudes, the first overalls, the second overalls that have gone out there and changed the narratives on them, Alexis Lafreniere is the complete opposite compared to what's happening with Kaapo Kakko, because man, this guy has been just not it, unfortunately. You talked about Laf taking that big step and becoming a game-breaking star. Kaapo Kakko has taken a big step backwards and has done almost nothing. 13 playoff games, 2 points. He had 19 points in 61 games in the regular season, 40 points last year, though, with the Rangers in 82 games played. And there are a number of factors that play into this. The entire season, we've been hearing Rangers fans say, oh, it's just about power play time. The guy isn't getting it, and when he gets it, that's when he's going to start getting his groove on, and that's when he'll be able to transform. Because we did see some good out of Kaapo Kakko last year. We're just kind of hoping to see that and more this year. But unfortunately, it just has not worked out. And especially throughout this playoff run, Kaapo Kakko has been kind of a ghost out there in comparison to what we know he is capable of. What Rangers fans saw last year when Kaapo Kakko is actually playing with the step, he's playing with good line mates, and he's getting that confidence up. Now, you have yourselves this article that was published by Luke Fox earlier yesterday morning. It is your Rangers and Panthers Game 4 notebook. Unhappy Kaapo Kakko's future is now in question. Take a look at the comments over here. Speaking Monday for the first time since coach Peter Laviolette benched him for Game 2, Kaapo Kakko did not disguise his disappointment, despite his healthy scratch being 2 wins and 4 days in the rear view. All the players want to play, the Rangers' third-line winger said, so I'm not happy. Fox says that Kaapo Kakko, after being reinserted for Game 3 due to Jimmy Vesey's injury, was more noticeable on Sunday, particularly diving in on the successful offensive zone draw that led to centerman Alex Wenberg's overtime winner. Did he use the scratch as a wake-up call or as motivation? I don't know if it's motivation. I try to play the best game I can every time I'm out there, Kaapo Kakko said. By his own admission, though, he has not been the best. The 23-year-old has just 1 goal and 1 assist through 12 games in the playoffs. These Rangers are getting outshot 10-6 when he's been on the ice this series, and he's aware that his line must spend more time in the Panthers' zone. Stewing, Kakko said he was not really given a reason for being taken out of the lineup for the first time since coach Gerard Gallant benched him in Game 6 of 2022's Eastern Conference Finals against Tampa. There then are some comments about Peter Laviolette, and then there's a little bit more of a discussion about the actual games itself. But going back over to Kakko here, he is an RFA with arbitration rights after those quote-unquote 6 more wins. Neither the coach that scratched him nor the 6 forwards ahead of him on the depth chart are going anywhere. Safe to say, the organization and the underwhelming young talent are in for a tense negotiation this summer. Rival GMs should inquire. And so with this in mind, it opens the door to a very interesting conversation as to what Kaapo Kakko's future is actually going to look like, because in an RFA negotiation, it's always to the player's benefit to be the best that he can be. Obviously, right? Like, I'm not saying anything that's rocket science here. But when Kaapo Kakko, in an RFA year, a guy who's supposed to be one of your best young, talented players, just completely doesn't do anything. He gets scratched, he comes back, he gets an assist, okay, great. It's an important assist, but other than that, he doesn't look all too impactful. When one of your supposedly best young talents goes out there and exhibits this kind of a growth, backwards in a way, you kind of have to start thinking, okay, is this really like a fit for our team long term? Alexis Lafreniere got a little bit of breathing room and he forced himself into the spotlight in a great way. But Kaapo Kakko has just not done that yet, nor has he done that to the same capacity at all, pretty much. And so with this in mind, I'm not saying that Kaapo Kakko is going to lose the New York Rangers this playoff series or anything, but his line, the team itself, they're not really performing all too well. They're still squeaking away with victories here and there, but you have to start wondering, like, okay, what if it was just not Kakko? What if it was somebody else? What if it was somebody who's actually a lot more well-equipped to play in this third-line winger role and contribute offensively, or maybe get some board battles in? I mean, Kaapo Kakko has been fantastic defensively, no complaints there. In fact, you can say that this is actually one of the weak spots of the Rangers in general, being able to backcheck and win board battles and play defensively responsibly, but Kaapo Kakko does that. It's just the guy doesn't seem to have an offensive bone in his body, and he was drafted like 5 years ago. It's been a while for Kaapo Kakko to develop and get better, but now he's just not doing that. At this point, I think most people can acknowledge and agree with the idea that Kaapo Kakko is not going to be this 90-point two-way power forward beast like we all thought he would be when he was drafted second overall behind Jack Hughes. It's kind of a fever dream at this point to think that he's going to do that, but even just being a 50-point winger, is that possible still? I mean, he's young enough to justify saying that it's possible, but at this point, you take a look at how he plays and how he produces offense, it's all just not there, and he himself is unhappy with the way that he's been treated and not played, and so at this stage, you have to start wondering, is the end near for Kaapo Kakko as a New York Ranger? The guy's an RFA, so maybe some teams will go out there and try to take a cheap flyer on him, whether that's in the form of an offer sheet or maybe a minor trade. And I say minor because is Kaapo Kakko really going to fetch much on the trade market? Yes, he is young, so there's potential, but how much is he really worth? What's he going to go for? Is that just a first-round caliber asset and maybe like a fifth or something? I mean, second overall, there's a lot of pedigree there, of course, but you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below what a Kaapo Kakko trade would look like if there's some sort of a trade. Do you think there's a possibility of an offer sheet? Does that exist? And if not, what's the likelihood you feel of this guy being able to play as a Ranger for the rest of his NHL career? We all thought that was going to happen when he was taken second overall. He was supposed to change the franchise. But now it's like, yeah, Kaapo Kakko is not doing that. Alexis Lafreniere from the year after is. 2020 first overall pick is doing wonders. 2019 second overall pick has kind of plateaued as this regular old two-way presence. And if he's going to demand some money in the offseason, which he has the right to do so, I mean, he had 40 points last year and he's young, so it's not the craziest thing in the world, but either way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Kaapo Kakko was unhappy with the way that he was being used. The Rangers have been kind of outplayed, and Kakko's not getting any offense to help in that respect. So what do you think is the future holding for this guy, long-term and short-term? Is he a Ranger next season? Is he on some other team? Is there a trade offer sheet? Whatever, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.